Hello there, this is Paul Williamson here. Greetings from Australia. So it's a lovely sunny day here in Australia. It's right at the end of May. And thank you very much for coming to hear me talk about past life regression today. So I've been doing this work for 32 years or more. I'm originally trained in the UK, and I've done lots of work with past life regression, hypnotherapy. I trained with Dr. Roger Woolgar, and more recently I've also trained with the Newton Institute to become a Life Between Lives therapist. I lead workshops in many different locations around the world, which I love doing, and I feel that my vocation is to help as many people as I can. And what I want to do is to help people to awaken to who they are as souls. So that is my work. And today, because my specialization is around doing past life regression, I would like to introduce this to you and help you just to learn what it's about, what you can expect from it, and also just about the healing potential of just what this marvelous therapy can do for you. So I guess, I'm sure a lot of you, if not all of you watching this, will have some interest in past life regression. Maybe some of you have had a session, but certainly it's one thing to have an interest in past life regression. It's another thing to have the actual courage to be willing to have a session of this yourself. It can be quite magical in a way, just to start to sense that inside of you there are memories of other lives. Not just the life that you're living now, but what has gone before then. Some of you may have had some glimpses of this through dreams, or just through a knowing, or even memories that just come flooding through you. Maybe you've been somewhere and you feel like you know that place. Or maybe you've met people and you feel an immediate recognition, and you sense, gee, this really feels as if I've met you before. All of these things can be indications of past lives and reincarnation. But when we do past life regression, this is an intentional process just to help you to open your consciousness so that the memory of, say, one of your past lives, you may have many, can channel through you. So this is a process which can be a big surprise. Mostly for people, you will not know anything about what is going to come through to reveal itself to you. Because doing regression relies on a different kind of consciousness to what we use in our everyday life. With the consciousness from our everyday life, it's like very much ego-driven. We know the boundaries of our existence, we know our habits, we know what's going on around us, we plan and have expectations about that. It's all within a boundary. But what happens with regression is that actually the experience comes from beyond that boundary of your ego. So your ego, firstly, needs to be flexible enough to allow that memory to come forward. And it comes forward through a process of revelation, where what is there with this memory, it just comes to you. It's not something which you plan. One moment it is not there, and the next moment there are memories of the past life that appear. Now, for me, when I work with regression, it's a very simple process. The person I'm working with, if it's you, you can sit or you can lie. You can be nice and comfortable. I would guide you into a relaxed state. You would still be consciously aware. I would be talking with you. You would be talking with me. And what you need to do is be like a channel, just to let the experience manifest for you, just as I've already suggested. And I use a very simple process. Usually for me, I do it through a door. And then as you go into the past life, you may then start to become aware of details of this. For many people, you will see what is going on. You might find that there is imagery of some historical place where you are. It could be, say, in ancient Rome, it could be in a battle, it could be in a farm, it could be sometime in the 19th century, or even more recent times than that. Who knows what it will be? And there will be an adjustment phase. And during this adjustment phase, you may still be aware very much of where you're sitting and things around you. Your thoughts, as this imagery comes to you, might start to wonder if you're just making it up, or if you've seen it on a TV program or read it somewhere. You may have all of these thoughts as the imagery of the past life comes to you. There are some people, of course, that are not very good visualizers. They may find actually that they don't see anything. I remember once I was giving a talk to well over 100 people in Scotland, and I decided to do a demonstration of past life regression at the end of that talk. And so this woman came forward. She was very enthusiastic, so I did the process to put her into the past life. And so I asked her then, so what she was experiencing, what was there? And she just said that it was black, and it was blank. There was nothing there, nothing going on. And I was starting to feel a little bit embarrassed, because when you've got 100 people watching your every move, and what you say you're going to do isn't happening, then that's not such a good thing. But anyway, I just waited with her for a while. I told her to keep breathing, just being with it, allowing the experience to present itself. And after a big pause, she said to me, "But my feet are cold." So then I got her to breathe into her feet. And then she started to sense that she was standing in snow. So then the memory started to come to her more and more fully. And it wasn't what she could see, it was what she could feel. And when she went with this sense, she was able to experience more and more of the details of the past life, and it flowed. So you see, some people will have visions and will have things that are just really around them that they see. And by seeing all these things, it will validate the experience. Other people will feel. It might be the coldness of the ground, or feeling other sensations, emotions, which will come forward as the strongest sense. And then there are another group of people where the strongest sense will be more a sense of knowing, just knowing this is what is occurring. Those people might not see very much, they might not even feel very much, but the knowing will guide them about what is going on. So we all have leading inner senses that will enable us to open up to the memory of the past life. Some people are lucky enough they're able to do all of those different senses and more, like smell, like energy. There's all sorts of ways, body awareness, in which you can access the past life. So as I was saying, there is an adjustment at first. It's like you'll be somewhat aware of where you are now and what's going on around you now, and then you'll have these inner experiences that start to come. And it is my job as a therapist to help you so you can settle into the experience from within, which is the past life, and you can just let the present day experience just be to one side, so it doesn't need to bother with what's going on inside you. So as your outer consciousness is prepared to do that, you will find that you become more and more absorbed with the past life that is there. So I will ask questions, I'll find out about your identity there, because you could be, in the past life, a very different person from who you are now. You might even find that you're from the opposite sex. You might say normally be a woman, and then you find that you're a man in the past life. And when this happens, very often there can be a long pause while the person I'm working with just comes to terms that what they're accessing is nothing what they expected at all, that they're actually the other sex from who they normally would be. So it's a matter of just accepting all of this, accepting what comes forward for you, and surrendering to it, so you can let it manifest more and more to you, and just have faith that you will learn from that what comes to you will be something that can make a difference in your life. So the first stages of doing a regression for me would be, as a therapist, helping you become aware of your identity, who you are, what you're wearing, just becoming aware of the setting of where you are, the environment around you, and then starting to tune in more and more to the thoughts and feelings that you have there. So you'll find, as you go into the regression more and more, that you can channel the thoughts, feelings and energy of the person that you are there, and it will be like it is you. It is you from another incarnation. So it will feel real, and it will feel something which is also got a sense of immediacy as you go into it more and more. And so from perhaps a still moment where you enter the past life, it can then become like a living memory. So it's like being in a movie or film, but instead of just watching it like you would with a film or a movie, you're in it and you're living the experience of it. So with these past lives, as they come to you, who knows initially what that life is going to be all about. It could be a short life or a long life, it may have lots of drama, it might be traumatic, it might be very peaceful, it might have lots of people in it, there might be you on your own. We have to find out. And as a therapist, my job is to ask questions. Questions I don't know the answer to. So the answer has to come from within you. Sometimes I do it like offering you choices if you feel a little bit blocked from actually knowing the answer. So those choices can also precipitate a response, and it's a response from within you. And it might not be even one of the choices that you answer. But then what I would ask you to do next, after becoming aware of your identity, becoming aware of the place where you live, your main activities, maybe even where you eat, so you can be aware of the relationships you have, and just what your life there is like. And for me, this first stage is grounding, because as you become more aware of all these basic things, you will just sense that you are this person in that situation, and you can allow then the memories to just come from a grounded place as you go through the regression. So there would be usually some important events in that life, something that you give attention to, something where you might have challenges, or something where you have great happiness. There may be experiences from earlier in the life where those experiences are relevant to what happens later. As a therapist, I need to be mindful of all of that to help guide you into the places and times and events which will be of most interest to you and will be most healing as well. So, as you go into the regression, yes, you feel it as if it is real, you sense it in whatever ways you sense it, that it is actually happening. And it is possible to go forwards and backwards in time. So you can experience yourself in the regression when you're young, when you're older, and everything in between. Maybe you don't live very long. We can go to that as well. So, by asking questions, it's possible to find out some of the main important events that occur in the life. And you know, one of the things is that it can be very emotional. I always say to my clients, bring a box of tissues, make sure you've got them or I supply them. Because you may need that, you may not, but you may. And you can be overcome by emotion in an instant in a past life as you're going through that, through regression. Perhaps you might find that someone that you love in the past life dies. You know, they might have an accident or get ill or something, and then you suddenly feel so much emotion, as if you really are there, and this person is a person you've loved, and they're not there anymore. And you'll feel all sorts of feelings and emotions, and they just come out from you. And of course, this is another sign that you are actually living this past life. You know, if you think of something that you would make up, if you were just making it up with your imagination, you try to make up emotions like that. And can you do it? I would say very, very unlikely. You'd have to be such a great actor or actress. But you would also sense then that you're making it up. Not that sometimes, like it happens in regression, the emotions come first, and then it's only after lots of questions that you find out what it is that you're feeling so strongly about. So this is just your consciousness being a channel to let yourself experience all of that. And of course, what you need to be aware of is that you're dealing with something from the past. You're being a channel to let this come through you, but in a way, it's not you now. So even if it's something painful, it's not going to hurt you now. It's just something which is a memory, an experience that flows through you, and you can let that happen. And sometimes with things like tears, letting that flow through you can be very healing. It can be letting go of something even from that past life which has been held inside for a long, long time, and it can be good to let it go. But then, as you go through that past life, you'll also reach the end of the life, and that's the time when you die. So you die in this past life, you can go through your last breath, and what happens then? Well, it's very interesting. But people experience, and you will experience, leaving the body. And when you leave the body, your consciousness will rise up to the light. I can tell you this because it just happens with everyone, and it doesn't matter if they've been told that before or not. It's just what happens. And this experience of rising up to the light is very beautiful, very healing. We sense a lot of freedom, and it's like coming home. So, I was talking to you about what happens when we leave that physical body at the end of our past life, where we go up to the spirit world. And when we go up to the spirit world, it can be an absolutely incredible experience. We can feel this lightness, we can feel this freedom to be ourselves, and very often it will be a relief to be out of that physical body and finished with that life, because now we're on our journey home. And just rising up to the light, people approach this in their own ways when they're going through a regression, but ultimately reaching the spirit world can be such a moving experience for our emotions that very often people are overcome with tears. It's just so beautiful, and there's so much love. And that's our home. It's not like there is heaven and hell, because with this experience, when we go to the spirit world, it is actually light and love. There may be other spiritual beings to welcome you, to meet you there. These could be like your soul family, like souls that love you, and even teachers or guides, or maybe souls that we're trying to help as well. And you'll have a much greater perception and perspective about what is true. In the spirit world, it's not like on earth. We do not hurt others. There's a great sense of cooperation, of oneness. And there is this sense also about just the awe and wonder of the multifacetedness of reality. It's not boring in the spirit world. In fact, things open up for us much more than on earth. And this is where we connect with who we truly are as souls. We will feel ourselves much more all-encompassing and a much greater sense of our being in the spirit world than we do when we're on the earth in that past life. And we will certainly notice a difference. Now, having gone through that past life, it has its meaning, and there will have been like soul tasks that we would have set for ourselves in that life. That would have been like themes and challenges about what we wanted to learn there. And these lessons of what we would have learnt would mainly be around love in one form or another. So you see, when we live our life, either in the past life or our lives today, it doesn't matter so much the experiences that we have. We might go through hardship, we might go through pain, we may go through a life where everything seems to go right for us. Whatever happens, we might be rich, we might be poor, we might have situations where we're afraid, or we might go through horrendous stories in our life. But still, it's not so much the event that happens to us, it's how we respond that matters. So, if we can respond somehow with our hearts open and find the choice of what we do about our situation true to our heart, that's when we're going to learn and grow. And so at the end of that life, when we go to the experience of the spiritual world, we will be able to determine within ourselves how much we have actually grown and learnt in that past life as souls. And inasmuch as we have learnt, we will then expand and become more mature as souls. You see, we're on a evolutionary path where we are more and more embracing the potential of being fully, I suppose you could say, godlike in being able to encompass all facets of life. this is something which gives us great joy to be doing. It is what is our purpose in many respects. We go from a point of view of being young souls, just gradually learning how to maneuver our way around, making lots of mistakes, just becoming more self-aware, trying out new things, to a point of view where we're more responsible. And as we become more adult-like souls, we'll have a great wish to serve and to help and to embrace what will be for the good of all. We just gradually learn that as we evolve. And it can be a wonderful thing then, when we're in the spirit world, just to sense where we're at in terms of our own development and all the achievements that we've managed. So this is what happens when we're in the spirit world. We can also meet with very wise spiritual beings that might be like teachers or guides, helping us on our paths. So we go through a review of that past life, what mistakes we made, what we could have done better. And we can learn from that. Our guide can help us, so that then from what we didn't manage to do as well as we could, we'll take that forward. So when you go into a past life now, very often it will be a lifetime which has similar lessons to what you're learning today. And it could be that you're choosing a past life, or your inner consciousness chooses a past life where perhaps you didn't quite get it right then. So you can go through this. You can experience the anguish at maybe not getting something totally right, and you might need to release emotion and things about that to cleanse yourself. But it will mean, when you've gone through this past life and perhaps the limitations of it, that you can sense in the lessons that you have today just what decisions you need to make a better job of it, to get things right. And that's a way that past life regression can be so instructive for you and just helping you on your path, so you will get things right, and so you will be able to grow and find peace also in your life today. The past lives that people access are not always just going through lives where there are lessons contained in them to do with your life today. Sometimes people go into a past life maybe where there was something really good that happened. Maybe it was a life where you were expressing some qualities about you that you need to wake up to in your life today. So then it won't be about lessons. It'll be more about the soul of that past life that you were then, being like a foundation for who you are today and what you need to awaken to, so you can live out your potential. Either way, the past life and the experience of it is helping you to grow. So you might wonder, well, what if I wasn't a very nice person in the past life? What if I hurt others, or I was selfish, or something like that? That might be really hard to know that. And it's true. It might be hard to know that. But because it is true, you will recognize it as being true. You'll recognize it as being in the past. And just know that nearly all of us have had to face our shadows in one way or another from the past. But you see, when you go to the spirit world, you'll just experience it all in perspective. What might have felt so difficult and challenging from the life itself, you'll be able to just realize that it's just a life, it's just an experience, and you can let it go and embrace the love which is truly who you are. and live that love in the spirit world, and know that's what you've got to do on earth as well. So all can find a way of resolving itself. If there's someone that you hurt in a past life, you might be able to meet them in the spirit world. And when you meet them, you can dialogue together and work things out. Nothing is unsolvable. You can find a way forward, always. Now, one of the things which can be really interesting to do, you might have someone from your family or someone you've been very close to from your life today that has died and gone into the spirit world. Maybe you've even gone to a medium or psychic or someone to try to get some information about them because you love them and you want to feel that connection. Well, one of the things that often happens when people do regression is that they can actually go to that point, having left the past life, going up to the spirit world, where that soul that was maybe the loved one in your life today will be there, and you can meet them and meet their energy and meet them with love, and you can maybe communicate together whatever you need to. And this can be immensely healing. It can help you to find peace and just to know that love is eternal. We never lose those that we love. And somehow to be able to experience that directly, not just have someone else tell you about it as a medium or something like that, that can be a really great thing to do. So you see, all of this work with past life regression, with spiritual work in the spirit world, all of this is uncovering an aspect of you from within you, which maybe you didn't know anything about, but it is there. And so by doing this work helps you to have a great, much greater sense of who you truly are, of the different layers that go to make up your being. This is something which I feel is very worthwhile. For some people, past life regression is not a thing they need to do. There are other ways they can grow and be on their path. But for many of us, to somehow be able to attune to our spiritual path now and to our soul through direct experience, that is something which is very, very worthwhile to do. And that is one of the main reasons that I do the work that I do. I truly believe in it, and I believe in its power to help people and transform lives. So I need to do a little spot of advertising, and I'll just say to you that if you want to come and see me for some regression, if you want to have a Zoom session or a Skype session, to do a past life regression, or to do maybe an inner child session to heal and to help your child consciousness from wounds that you have been through. Or maybe you want to learn about who your soul is in the in-between life state, or to meet your spirit guides. I'm very happy to do all of that. And also, my colleague Dee and I arrange online personal development workshops as well. So that's my spot of advertising, just telling what we can offer. But I hope that you've enjoyed this talk now about past life regression. I know there's so much more I could talk about, but I think this gives you some knowledge of the nuts and bolts of just how regression works, and I've tried very much to tell you honestly from my own experience about that, and I hope that you'll recognize that and that this may be of benefit for you in some way. Thank you so much for listening.